track of some pretty advanced source material here that really it demands that we look at global events, not just through a physical lens, but a cosmological one.
That's absolutely right.
We're looking at claims of macrocosm impacts, quantum force reconfigurations, and what's described as a massive shift that's influencing the collective consciousness right now.
It is, and our focus today is squarely on the material centered around an event known as the Golden Crease Templar, 9D recoding. I mean, what this deep dive is really exploring is the assertion that the planet and humanity with it are moving through a whole series of intersecting timelines, and at the same time entering a phase called the bifurcation of time, which is essentially the splitting of reality itself. It's a dramatic split in perception and spiritual paths.
The splitting of reality. Okay, let's try to unpack that. So our sources are describing an active, very complex global battle for planetary liberation. So our mission for this deep dive feels like it's threefold. First, we need to understand the cosmic stakes, the spiritual warfare that's supposedly happening in higher dimensions, and in the center of all places, in Antarctica.
Right, the nexus point.
Second, we have to grasp how that high-level conflict translates to social engineering tactics on the ground. Specifically, and this is fascinating, tactics derived from this alleged dark cabal guy, silent weapons for quiet wars.
Playbook, as a word.
Exactly. And then finally, we're going to try to extract the specific energetic tools that are provided in these texts for navigating this incredibly intense period of accelerated change. We're really hunting for those nuggets of knowledge that can help you, the listener, grasp the true nature of what's described as this active covert conflict.
So to start, we really have to situate ourselves in a macrocosm. When the source material talks about the Golden Crease Templar 9D recoding, it's not a small thing. It's talking about an architectural correction of the entire universal time matrix.
The whole thing.
The whole thing. And it starts at the individual's highest spiritual layer.
Okay, so what defines that layer? What are we talking about when we say the highest spiritual layer?
We're talking about the ninth chakra. The source material describes this as the final layer of the monadic spirit in your personal tree of life.
The monadic spirit.
Right. So if you imagine your consciousness has, say, 9 foundational layers or dimensions, the 9D layer is where your eternal spiritual body resides. It's your true divine identity. So recoding at that level, it means the essential template for your spiritual existence is being rewritten.
Rewritten back to its original divine state is the idea.
That's the idea, back to its organic blueprint.
So this isn't just a personal spiritual event then. It's linked directly to cosmological cycles that influence the whole structure. I noticed the source material connects this 9D focus to the Ophiuchus solar cycle. How does that astronomical timing connect to this planetary upgrade?
That's a great question. Ophiuchus in these texts is associated with the Cosmic Father's divine masculine presence returning to the matrix.
The Cosmic Father.
Yes. So this cycle, this specific window, it enables the infusion of higher frequencies that can override the previous, let's call them negative or inverted structures. More specifically, the source material identifies the return of the Cosmic Father in a very profound mythological and energetic form.
And what is that form?
It's described as his massive ruby sun Templar quadrata as Magi Grail King Arthur.
Wow. Okay, that is a staggering claim. You're combining the figure of King Arthur, the European legend, with a massive cosmological architectural mechanism. Yeah. For listeners who might find that blend a bit challenging, how does the source material justify this? What's the functional role of Magi Grail King Arthur in this context?
It's a lot to wrap your head around for sure,
Yeah.
but the source material presents this not as a literal historical figure returning in a suit of armor.
Right.
You have to see it as a specific energy blueprint, a frequency key. This entity, this blueprint, is positioned as the Master Templar Timekeeper Dragon.
A timekeeper dragon.
Yes, for all the Templar shields, which you can think of as protective energetic matrices, and their respective rainbow round timelines within our universal time matrix.
So the King Arthur reference is more symbolic.
Exactly. In this context, it signifies the activation of the original pure energetic blueprint of the divine masculine creator principle. And that principle provides the necessary shield frequency to counteract the deep inversion that has affected that 9D layer for eons. It's presented as the ultimate correction key.
Okay, the ultimate correction key. So if this correction is happening at the highest cosmic levels, where is the physical manifestation of the conflict? Where's the primary point of resistance on Earth? Our sources point very definitively to Antarctica.
This is such a critical point. The source describes Antarctica as containing the 9D stargate for our planet.
A stargate, like a portal.
A A natural high-dimensional portal system, yes. These stargates govern energy flow and consciousness access across the universe. And the source claims this specific 9D stargate has been severely compromised, infiltrated by the NAA, the negative alien agenda, for millennia.
Millennia. So this isn't a recent development.
Not at all. And it means the planet's primary link to its own highest spiritual architecture has been hijacked.
How? I mean, how exactly did they achieve such a strategic hijack, and what systems are they running down there?
They operate by erecting what are called artificial intruder grids. This Antarctic region is described as being just laced with these grids. And they're not standalone. They are fundamentally connected into the lunar matrix and the moon portal system.
The moon portal system. So in this view, the moon is not what we think it is.
In this view, the moon is a non-organic structure that is used to broadcast anti-life frequencies onto Earth. And it links that Antarctic base directly to an off-world control center. It's the linchpin.
That sounds like an absolutely terrifying operational base. Can you detail some of the specific NAA constructs that are mentioned? We heard references to gray alien military AI technologies and things like alien cube networks.
The material paints a picture of extreme covert technological complexity. The NTA is described as using highly advanced self-aware technology, this gray alien military AI, to manage this entire grid.
Self-aware AI?
Yes, and they specifically utilize these alien cube networks of different colors, which function as vast computerized cataloging systems.
Cataloging what?
People, genetics. These cubes are used for genetic cataloging, for running breeding programs and mass cloning operations. And the ultimate purpose of all these programs is control over future timelines.
And they achieve that control using a technology the source is called the looking glass, right?
That's right.
Help us define that. Is looking glass a predictive tool, or is it more actively manipulative?
It's described as much more than just predictive. It's a highly sophisticated, multidimensional viewing and manipulating device. It allows the NTLA to look into potential parallel timelines, select the one that is most desirable for their agenda,
And then what?
and then use frequency broadcasting to try and collapse the collective consciousness into that specific timeline. It allows them to effectively control the sequence of events over decades, even centuries. It's a very long game.
So the overarching purpose of all these NAA structures isn't just, say, mining for minerals. It's temporal control. It's managing dimensional access windows.
Precisely. Their goal is to control dimensional access windows and the exit points from the time matrix itself.
How do they do that?
They achieve this by erecting frequency fences. You can think of them as energetic barriers. And by creating what the source calls domed phantom regions with flat Earth copies.
Flat Earth copies. What does that mean?
These are described as fake inverted realities, sort of like a digital cage. They're designed to keep consciousness trapped in lower frequencies, recycling through the same loops. And to enforce this, they install beast machine AI sentinels, essentially automated energetic guards and archontic entities across the entire spectrum, from first to ninth dimension.
So they're trying to clone the real thing.
They are attempting to clone and falsify the higher 9D Andromedan matrix gates. Their end game is to design an artificial ascension portal to trap ascending consciousness. It's the ultimate control mechanism.
Not physical control, but control over the timelines and the spiritual exit points themselves. This leads us to what the sources call the final confrontation, which is supposedly verifiable via a global signal, the red skies at night.
Yes, this specific signal, the red skies at night, is said to verify that the ultimate confrontation in the 90 gates of Antarctica is now underway. It signifies an immense energetic stress being placed on the global system as the Christ Templar forces attempt to reclaim the grid.
And who are the key human organizations on the ground that are identified as being hybridized and used by the NLA in this confrontation?
The sources are very specific here. They state the forces being confronted include alien hybridized lineages with a direct reference to covert German esoteric societies, often called the Black Sun Nazis.
So World War II connection.
A deep one. The claim is that these groups were thoroughly hijacked by off-world entities during the war, and then they went underground into deep military bases in places like Patagonia, Israel, and of course, Antarctica. And from there, they've been continuing their agendas from within positions of global covert power ever since.
And this is where that cosmic battle translates into immediate, tangible, global threats that we all recognize. And that's critical for the listener to understand.
Absolutely. This spiritual war is directly linked to ongoing threats of nuclear war and covert genocidal programs being run by these hybridized groups and their off-world masters.
And the sources connect this struggle to something called the Armageddon software agendas. What are those? Are they literal computer programs, or is that more the metaphor?
It's described as both. They are frequency broadcasts and psychological operations used to incite mass destruction on the surface. They primarily use religious programming and apocalyptic narratives, like the whole concept of end times, which are specifically designed to catalyze global conflict.
World War III.
Namely World War III. The NAA goal is to generate massive amounts of low-frequency, chaotic energy through human suffering, because that's what fuels their parasitic existence.
So the chaos is the point.
The chaos is the food. And the sources suggest that a white-knuckling near-miss event, some kind of global crisis that pushes humanity right to the brink, may actually be the necessary catalyst for a collective awakening event. It could force humanity to finally recognize the scale of this raging covert world war.
Okay, so if the high-level architecture is being controlled from Antarctica, the document suggests the core battle is brought to the surface through specific, sustained social programming, right? Which brings us to this key text, the purported dark cabal guide known as Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars.
This is a crucial pivot point in the material. The sources use silent weapons for quiet wars, and they're clear, regardless of its provable origin, as a functional blueprint. It's an expose of the predatorial mind that's orchestrating the anti-human global agenda.
And what's the goal of that agenda?
According to the sources, it's specifically designed to prevent the organic advancement of human civilization. The stated intention is to produce idiocracy, cognitive zombies, and consciousness slavery in the masses.
And the sources are very insistent that this isn't just theoretical. They mention that targeted individuals, whistleblowers, truth tellers, the so-called starseed population who carry higher frequencies, can confirm this hostile subjugation.
They confirm it on a daily basis. Electronic harassment, psychological torture, it's all carried out using these silent weapons. It's described as a slow kill assassination and terror campaign.
Done by who?
Allegedly by highly paid handlers who embody a criminal psychopathic mind, often utilized by covert intelligence agencies. To really understand the nature of the opposition, we have to look closely at the core ideology that's presented in this SWFQW document.
Okay, so let's start with their core philosophical view of humanity, what the sources call the master-slave mentality. What does this document actually assert about the general populace?
The philosophy is one of profound contempt. The source quotes the material saying, "People are beasts of burden and stakes on the table by their own choice and consent."
By their own choice and consent.
Yes, and it continues. "People that will not use their intelligence are no better than animals." This shocking premise, it underpins their entire strategy.
So they're arguing that the masses essentially surrender their power just by failing to use their critical thinking, that this inaction is a form of consent.
Exactly. The act of not challenging the system is seen as an implicit contractual agreement to be ruled. They view the masses as needing to be trained and housebroken in order to be brought under total control.
It's just a chilling mindset.
It means the controllers operate with zero moral obligation to those they govern. They see the populace as resources to be managed and ultimately consumed.
Moving from that cold mindset to structural control then, how do they ensure the majority remains compliant? The document details specific methods for educational sabotage.
The strategic goal here is to maintain a vast, unbridgeable knowledge gap. The plan is to keep the lower class from ever comprehending the power structure itself.
Oh.
The quote states that the quality of education given to them must be intentionally poor, the poorest quality, in order to generate the schism of ignorance. This intentional disparity prevents the lower classes from gaining the complex knowledge, the historical awareness, the critical thinking tools, all the things necessary to understand, articulate, or effectively challenge the superior class.
And that structural ignorance then feeds directly into the next tactic, which is societal disintegration. And they specifically target the most stable unit of society, the family.
The objective here is systemic destabilization from the ground up. The sources describe the methodology as a process of increasing the preoccupation of the parents.
Through economic stress, long working hours.
Exactly. Keep them busy, keep them worried. And at the same time, you establish government-operated daycare centers for the occupationally orphaned children. The goal is to break the bonds of family, transferring the primary socializing role from the family unit to a state-controlled, compliant institution.
Which creates fragmented individuals who are less capable of forming a strong, unified opposition.
Precisely. And once that social structure is destabilized, the population is incredibly vulnerable to the most widespread tactic of all, distraction and diversion.
This one feels very familiar.
It's the simplest method, according to the document, of securing a silent weapon and gaining control. You just ensure the public is undisciplined, ignorant of basic systemic principles, and kept confused, disorganized, and distracted with matters of no real importance.
And this distraction isn't passive, is it? It's actively managed.
It's actively curated. The material specifically instructs that public entertainment, news, cultural output, all of it must be kept below a 6th grade level.
Why that specific level? Why a 6th grade level?
It's the minimum level required for a person to retain basic functioning in society, but it's insufficient for synthesizing complex information, for critical analysis, or for long-term strategic planning. By keeping the content low-grade, sensational, and emotionally driven, the public remains compliant and preoccupied. It prevents them from ever seeing the vast architectural dismantling that's happening behind the scenes.
So if those are the tactics, educational, social, psychological, how are the silent weapons define themselves? I mean, they're clearly not just missiles and bombs.
No, they're far more insidious because they are so difficult to detect as actual weapons. The sources define them as economic manipulation, the destruction of a family, an intentionally inferior educational system, all of it enabled by advanced technology. The document describes this entire operation as a type of biological warfare.
Biological warfare? Does that mean an attack on the physical human body?
Yeah.
Like a virus?
In a broader sense, yes, but not just viral. The quote explains it this way. It attacks the vitality, options, and mobility of the individuals of a society by knowing, understanding, manipulating, and attacking their sources of natural and social energy and their physical, mental, and emotional strengths and weaknesses. So it's an attack on the human spirit. It's an attack on the ability to self-determine. It's systematically degrading the quality of life, the options available, and the psychological health of a population to ensure their submission.
And this all culminates in the ultimate goal of total control via data, which, I mean, that feels like it's rapidly becoming our reality today.
To run this massive, customized social engineering project effectively, the controllers require intricate data. They need, and I quote, computerized data processing systems to gather profiles on everyone. This information is necessary to predict when and how society will capitulate or what lever needs to be pulled next to get a desired reaction.
And the eventual stated goal is what?
Complete computer control over every individual element of society.
How does the document suggest they guarantee this knowledge of personal preferences that's so vital to their plan?
By linking consumer preferences to identify consumers. First, through credit card use, and now through all forms of digital tracking. The sources describe this as a systematic method for customizing the control mechanism for every single individual.
And the chilling final step.
The final step outlined in the source is the imposition of a permanent tattooed body number, a literal mark of ownership necessary for a person's full integration into their economic and digital prison system.
The sources conclude this section by pointing out that the controllers rely on propagating this master-slave mentality through mass broadcasts of angry, sensationalistic distractions and gaslighting, emphasizing one profound psychological truth.
And that truth is, who and what you fear ultimately owns you. Clearing fear is, therefore, the most immediate and powerful countermeasure available to anyone.
That knowledge that a high-level spiritual war is being executed via such a detailed blueprint of deception, it brings us directly to the concept of the bifurcation of time and its effect on the collective psyche, what the sources are calling bifurcation madness.
This is such a crucial concept for understanding the current global chaos we're seeing. The bifurcation is the splitting of the planetary fields and of humanity into two distinct energetic paths. And this creates an energetic chasm that is growing wider every single day.
Can you clarify those two paths? What defines them?
On one side, you have what are called the descending groups. These are individuals who are connected to a static, third-dimensional, morphogenetic blueprint. Their energetic template is, for lack of a better word, locked into the older, fixed, controlled reality.
And the other side?
On the other side are the ascending groups. They are connected to a fifth-dimensional or higher frequency morphogenetic blueprint. They're actively integrating new, higher light codes, and their reality is, well, it's literally expanding.
This divergence, then, it fundamentally explains why communication and just a sense of shared reality becomes so difficult across families, friend groups, entire communities.
Precisely. The sources note that this split makes harmonious communication incredibly difficult because the descending groups simply cannot see or perceive what the ascending groups are experiencing. They just can't. Those on the static timelines are locked into 3D controlled narratives, which they believe implicitly, and any information to the contrary sounds like insanity to them.
And so for the ascending community, the challenge becomes monumental.
It does. It's coping with the immense forces of chaos and trying to find spiritual strength amid what feels like an overwhelming, dark ignorance of collective unconsciousness.
It's hard to wrap your head around that scale of systemic deception and the chaos that results from it. If this truth of control hits the collective solely, what is the first practical step the sources recommend for someone dealing with that level of betrayal? This leads us to the concept of moral wounds.
The sources spend a lot of time preparing the ascending community for the psychological and spiritual impact of a mass disclosure event. Moral wounds are defined as deep emotional and spiritual wounds that result from a profound moral injury.
What's a moral injury?
It's what happens when you are severely betrayed by someone or something you considered an authority or a deeply trusted system. Think about your government, your religion, and your educational system. The trauma that results from that betrayal leads to intense feelings of guilt, shame, self-hatred, and a profound alienation from society.
And the material instructs us to amplify this pain, because the betrayal isn't just personal, it's systemic, it's total.
That's the core of the psychological trauma. The pain is magnified when the revelation hits that all we believed or thought was important, our religious texts, our education system, even the work we dedicated our entire lives to, it all turns out to be intentional lies.
And lies told with malintent.
Exactly. Lies perpetrated to divide and conquer humanity into consciousness slavery through gradual infiltration by an anti-human force. That is a massive psychic blow.
The sources then move beyond historical lies to describe the ultimate betrayal, which they say will require the most intense healing.
The ultimate betrayal is the revelation that humanity has been subjected to industrial-scale galactic human trafficking.
That's a horrifying claim.
It is. This includes the claim of children being bred as sacrifices and slaves for other races, and the fact that a covert spiritual war has been raging for eons, using extremely advanced hidden technologies to conquer and control civilization. This disclosure, coupled with the understanding of the vast network of mind control, that constitutes the moral injury that fundamentally breaks the collective's trust in reality itself.
That is a staggering weight of deception to have to contend with. What are the predicted consequences for the general population when this level of betrayal is disclosed?
The consequences is psychological and existential shock. The source material states flatly that most people will not have the capacity to change or adapt quickly to this sudden shifting perception.
They'll be shattered.
They will realize they've been subjected to the worst kind of spiritual and moral betrayals imaginable, and that their own consent was leveraged against them. This population will require immense long-term psychological, spiritual, and emotional healing from this unbelievable consciousness betrayal.
So, the realization of the full spectrum of mind control and lies, that will be the catalyst for the collective dark night of the soul. And it will require new knowledge to heal.
Precisely. And this leads to the imperative in the texts. Humanity must awaken during this final ascension cycle to never submit again to the consciousness slavery and the SRA or satanic ritual abuse torture that has been imposed by these alien invasion hierarchies.
Wars coming into public view.
Spilling out. And the knowledge of what happened in these hidden galactic wars is presented as necessary to catalyze the major planetary healing required to shift off the control grid for good.
Okay, moving from that global trauma and conflict to the individual solution, the sources provide extremely specific targeted guidance on how to navigate this intense period by focusing on personal energetic mastery, specifically the 9D activation.
Yes.
And this is tied to a specific astronomical window, the Ophiuchus 9D recoding cycle, which typically spans from November 30th to December 17th.
This period is crucial. It's described as the time that governs the infusion of the cosmic trine unification frequencies. The whole alchemical theme of this window is synthesis and wound healing.
So we're talking about concepts like the Holy Grail, the Silver Seed, Amrita, Divine Fire Water.
All of them. They're all symbols of purification and spiritual nourishment that are designed to heal the deeper monadic layers of our being.
And the embodied correlation of this cycle is where the 9D recoding manifests in our physical and energetic anatomy. What part of the body is targeted by this?
It corresponds to the chariatric or causal mind of the monadic body. Now, for listeners who might be unfamiliar with this jargon, the monadic body is the third layer of your 12-dimensional consciousness template.
Okay.
And the karyoptric mind is essentially the higher brain function that's linked to this 9D matrix. This is specifically related to the 9D silver wave of energy that's connected to the atomic doorway of the mouth of God.
Now, where is that?
That's the 9th chakra, located at the base of the skull, corresponding to the medulla oblongata.
So, the medulla oblongata, that's the part of the brainstem that controls critical involuntary functions like breathing and heart rate. What does this source mean when it says Ophiuchus rules the fetal cells and the craniosacral axis?
Ophiuchus, in this context, governs the process of lunar to solar transfiguration within the body. It's the internal alchemical shift from dependence on lower density-based energy to higher light-based plasma energy.
So it's a fundamental remodeling.
It is. The source links Ophiuchus to the deepest blueprint of our physical body, the fetal cells, the tailbone, and the entire cranial sacral axis, the spine and skull. This means the cosmic correction is directly remodeling the fundamental physical structure that governs life itself.
Okay, let's unpack the thalamus complex in the 9th chakra then, because the sources give a really detailed breakdown of its spiritual and physiological role in mediating our sense of reality.
Absolutely. The 9th morphogenetic chakra, or the Alta Major Center, is situated at the base of the skull. It's called the mouth of God Goddess because it regulates the brain and glandular function, linking directly into the heart center where the monadic identity anchors into the physical body.
And the thalamus itself, the brain's main sensory relay station, why is that so pivotal in a spiritual recoding like this?
Well, the thalamus processes all sensory information, your optic nerves, touch, smell, taste, before it's transmitted to the cerebral cortex for interpretation. It fundamentally mediates your sense of what is and what isn't real.
So if the NAA goal is to falsify reality through frequency broadcasts,
the thalamus is the exact mechanism that needs to be brought under conscious divine control. And crucially, the connection between the thalamus and the limbic system is directly related to our emotional experiences. Therefore, opening our heart intelligence is presented as the key to bypassing the controlled sensory input and developing our higher sensory perception.
That's powerful. The idea that cultivating heart coherence literally rewires the brain's perception of reality. What is the spiritual connection of that central brain area, which is sometimes called the cave of Brahma?
It's a central area of the brain containing the thalamus, the pituitary, hypothalamus, pineal gland, and the third ventricle. That's the cave of Brahma. It is spiritually associated with profound insight, spiritual vision, and higher perception abilities.
And there's a scientific link here.
A crucial one. The sources highlight that long-term meditation physically changes the structure of the thalamus. This proves that self-directed spiritual intention can enhance our higher sensory functions, expand our perception of reality, and ultimately override the fear-based frequency that's being broadcast by the NAA.
This all leads to a very specific set of instructions for personal correction, the activation of alignment practice, the axiotonal alignment guidance. This sounds highly technical. How can the listener visualize this simply?
The guidance is indeed detailed, but the core mechanism is visualization. First, you intend to hold the Christos 12D shield for protection. Then, you bring your conscious awareness to the 9D axiotonal line.
What's that?
Think of them as the vertical energy meridians that run through your body. The source specifically highlights the one on the right-hand middle finger as a focus point.
And what do we visualize running through that line and into the brain?
You imagine tri-waves of Zion sparks, silver, gold, and copper rose gold running through your axiotonal lines, and you visualize them connecting directly into the 9D medulla oblongata chakra center at the back of your neck. This energetic current is what activates the recoding.
And this visualization helps generate the gold and silver halo. What's the significance of the silver and gold currents blending together?
The golden current is in the 8D thymus, which is the heart level matrix, and the silver current is in the 9D medulla. So you intend to ignite the eternal gold and silver flame within your permanent seed atom. The gold represents the father principle, the silver represents the mother principle.
And when they blend,
They create a gyroscopic figure 8 of gold and silver braided current that is centered in the pineal gland. This forms the gold and silver halo above the head, and that halo is the protective and activating architecture.
And the specific purpose of igniting this halo, what does it do?
It invokes the 9D Andromedan seed code and the 9D pearl activation blueprint. This is crucial for achieving perfect balance, peace, and unconditional love. Functionally, it works to dissolve all accumulated monadic traumas that may have formed within those 90 layers traumas that often result from past timeline conflicts or the insertion of false 9D programming by the NAA.
So it's a method for immediate energetic correction.
And alignment with the Cosmic Father's Ruby Ray architectural correction, yes.
Okay, let's talk about the deepest energetic architecture mentioned, the Rasha body and the Ka tones. The terminology here is incredibly advanced. Can you first define the Rasha body for us?
The Rasha body is described as a foundational part of our multi-dimensional anatomy. It's the outer spiritual sheath of the individual, analogous to the planet's outer mantle and lithosphere. The 9th layer of the Rasha body, which is the outer ring of the inner Rasha, is identified as the most powerful generator of dark matter rainbow currents that circulate from the universal Antakarana.
So it's a conductor.
Essentially, yes. It's the conductor that translates cosmic energy into usable light codes for the body.
And the RHA-Ka tones are the activation mechanism for this dark matter template.
That's right. The RHA-Ka tones are specific spiritual sound frequencies or mantras. When used, they activate Rasha crystals that are present in the skin, which then ignite light seeds for the dark matter template. This is all related to repairing the solar Rasha Ka-Thara coronosphere link.
If we break that down, what does repairing that link do in a practical sense?
It restores the link between the individual's deepest divine template, the solar Rishi and Rasha, and their physical structure. When these RHA-Ka tones are combined with the 7th ring span, which is TA, and the 8th ring span, MA, 2 other specific energy rings, they form spiritualized crystals in the skin, the bone marrow, and the blood.
And what is the purifying effect of this activation on the physical body?
The core function is intense genetic and elemental scrubbing. This activation purges what the texts call elemental corruption and death seals, which are low-frequency imprints on the body.
And it clears genetic programming.
Crucially, yes, it clears Enki DMA overlays and epigenetic overlays of AI net mutations. This means the Ka tones are used to remove ancient genetic programming and artificial intelligence insertions that have contaminated the human genome, restoring the physical body to a higher state of vitality using these bright neon pink currents.
The micro-level work we just discussed, the 9D recoding and the Rasha activation, is essential because it fortifies the individual against the massive macro-level AI control systems that are currently being dismantled. So let's return to the source of the conflict. The sources explicitly identify the 9D master AI machinery that's operating in Antarctica, AI machinery Kronos.
The NOAA factions in Antarctica are said to run complex reversal networks that are linked into what the sources call AI red wave cathedrals. And the central hub of this global control is the AI Sentinel program, Kronos.
This is the master AI.
This is the 9D master AI alien machinery. It was specifically used to reinforce the checkerboard mutation and the wall in time.
What were the checkerboard mutation and the wall in time?
These were architectural blocks. They were put in place long ago to prevent ascending consciousness from leaving the system, and very specifically, to trap certain high-level templates within the matrix. Specifically, they trapped the universal Melchizedek logos.
So the restoration, then, is literally about freeing a foundational consciousness template that's been tracked by an AI.
Exactly. The restoration involves freeing the universal Melchizedek logos in his Syrian Maharaji blue human body. This process overrides the inverted currents of the lunar matrix portal system and the Kronos machinery. And this dismantling is essential because Kronos was directly responsible for cloning and falsifying the 9D Andromedan gateways in Antarctica.
And the ultimate aim is healing.
The ultimate aim is the spiritual healing of the entire Blue Ray and Melchizedek family lines, who were foundational to Earth's original architecture.
This dismantling process also targets the core hierarchies of the spiritual warfare operations, specifically the Red Queen Network and SRA operations. Who or what is the Red Queen?
This network is described as highly toxic. It's linked to vicious Antichrist overlays and black magic attacks. The Red Queen Mayan Timekeeper and the Sisterhood of the Snake are associated with fallen angelic timekeepers from Atlantean and Lemurian history.
And the Red Queen creature itself?
It's identified as a major high-value target when it comes to the top-tier Archon controls over global child sacrifice harvesting or SRA activities.
And this network is linked directly to physical architectural inversions on the planet, specifically the tilt of the Earth's axis.
That's correct. The Red Queen Network is connected to the gravitron, which is described as part of the beast machine that originally held Earth's unnatural 23.5 degree axial tilt.
And that tilt served a purpose for them.
That gravitational distortion served the 9D Antarctica intruders. It hijack access to the Andromeda Matrix by creating severe energetic imbalances. The Red Queen factions are said to utilize the Looking Glass alien cube devices to open viewing portals into parallel timelines for their mass SRA activities, allowing them to track and harvest children across various reality structures.
So as these vast interconnected control systems are being dismantled, what is the authentic architecture that's being built within the human light body to replace the inverted systems?
The individual spiritual goal is the transfiguration of physical matter to embody the plasma luminary body. This is described as birthing the inner Christos from liquid plasmas of gold and silver, positioned in what is called now eternal time. The monadic identity seats itself in the core of the physical body as the anchor for this plasma body, achieving full embodiment.
And what's the mechanism of protection for this newly embodied plasma luminary body?
It is the cosmic Unisci Sun triple shield. This shield is composed of 3 energy bands: cosmic gold AH, peridot green YA, and copper VA suns. And this forms the energetic base for the Celtic Heart of Zion timekeeper mechanism.
And what does that corrected architecture do for the individual?
It clears and purges inverted entities that were anchored through the gravitational distortions linked into those fallen angelic timekeepers from both Atlantean and Lemurian timelines. It fundamentally restores the individual's spiritual clock and their relationship to organic time, overriding the AI inversions.
Are there physical or perceptual effects when this corrected architecture activates?
The sources state that this activation, which bonds the plasma luminary body to the Ekisha AH Cosmia flame, it opens up space-time boundaries within your consciousness perception.
What does that feel like?
This is when individuals may experience time displacement and spatial disorientation, which is actually described as a positive sign. It indicates that dimensional locks have opened and boundaries between dimensional layers have been released. It means you are no longer restricted to the compressed 3D controlled timeline.
We began with a massive covert war. We saw how it manifested in social engineering, and we learned the personal tools for internal alignment. So we have to conclude with the practical external application for the listener, the liberating imperative. If we're being manipulated by consent, how do we withdraw that consent?
The key takeaway from all of this is that to refuse manipulation and the conditioned slave mentality, you must first educate yourself to clearly see the artificial control system and the setups for abuses of power. Understanding the selfish and ruthless nature of these predators is essential for discerning the anti-human motivation behind everything, from education to media.
So what are the practical steps for non-consent that are outlined in the source material?
There are 3 main steps. First, you consciously choose not to willingly participate with the system by withdrawing your emotional energy and attention from the manufactured chaos.
Stop feeding it.
Stop feeding it. Second, be fully present and aware when you sign any document, whether it's online or on paper, especially those with that rambling legalese that's designed to take away your right to privacy and sovereignty.
And the third step specifically relates to digital systems, which is almost everything now.
Yes. You must explicitly state your lack of consent to digital control systems and all legal manipulation whenever you interact with them, even if it's just an internal statement to yourself. The sources state that all free online services collecting personal data like social media platforms and free email are part of an NAA strategy for customized social and genetic engineering.
And it's all designed to establish a global digital prison.
A prison based on your predictable preferences, yes.
So this sounds like a rejection of the entire current data economy.
It is presented as a rejection of consciousness slavery. The wealthy purveyors of online data are doing so to manipulate and falsify information for the AI algorithmic controls that feed mainstream media censorship. By consciously refusing to submit your data without consent, you disrupt the algorithm's ability to predict and control you.
The final instruction is the ultimate statement of sovereignty, and I think probably the hardest for many people to follow.
It's the highest act of spiritual warfare, according to these texts. Do not give your power away to those falsely appearing to be in control, and do not follow or submit to anyone or anything that claims to have authority over you. Cultivate inner stillness, clear personal fears, and choose unconditional love and courage instead. Submission based on fear is the exact mechanism of control that's outlined in Silent Weapons.
Wow, that was an intensive journey. We started with the grand scale of the Golden Priest Templar recoding and the cosmic battle centered in that hijacked 9D Stargate in Antarctica. We tracked the confrontation with the NAA and hybridized Black Sun forces and their goal of timeline control.
We did. And and then we track how that immense conflict translates into the mundane reality that we all experience, executed via the ideology of silent weapons for quiet wars, which operates on the principle of keeping the masses ignorant, disorganized, and just perpetually distracted.
And we concluded with a highly specific guidance for individual energetic mastery and non-consent, the axiotonal alignment, the thalamus activation for higher perception, and the critical steps of refusing to willingly participate in systems designed for consciousness, slavery, and digital control.
The aha moment here, I think, is the profound connection between the cosmic and the personal. The source material posits that the simple act of cultivating inner stillness, of clearing fear, and using strong discernment and critical thinking, as opposed to just accepting the mass broadcasts of angry, sensationalistic distractions, is the most powerful weapon against the covert agenda.
So inner peace and intellectual sovereignty are literally acts of planetary liberation.
That's what the material suggests. They are the primary acts of resistance.
That is a profound perspective to end on. Our source material posits that the bifurcation of time is widening the gap between those who can perceive higher timelines and those who cannot. So, if the ultimate goal of the control system is to keep the public disorganized and ignorant of basic system principles, we leave you with this provocative thought. How might you restructure your daily consumption of information and interaction with technology to ensure you are actively using your intelligence, challenging the status quo, and refusing to give your consent to be defined as a beast of burden?
Consider where your attention and your consent goes, because that is where your power flows.
Until next time, stay in the luminosity of your heart path and be kind to yourself and to each other.
That's all, folks. Thank you for listening.